Representative Rogers, are there instances where we have had reports of teachers being discriminated against in hiring practices?
In hiring practices? Not that are being brought to me at this time. I mean, I know I've heard he says that they have EEOC complaints all the time.
Here's my issue. I have some urban schools.
Mm-hmm.
I have one particular, Napier Elementary, South Nashville,
mm-hmm.
high African American population.
Right.
Single family homes, father's not there.
Mm-hmm.
If this bill passes, then the principal, Reverend Ronald Poe, can't specifically hire an African American male to be a role model for those African American boys in that school.
He can hire a well-qualified African American male.
I understand he can hire a well-qualified one, but if he needs several African American males to work
mm-hmm.
there to provide what we call cultural competency,
mm-hmm.
which someone else will have to go and develop, but they already have innate because they're from that particular same ethnicity, mm-hmm. he can't hire them. We'd be barred from even looking forward. He'd be barred from even asking the local pastors to suggest somebody to apply for that job. He can't even come to me then and say, do you know anybody who is 25 years old, who graduated from TSU or Fisk and is African-American male and knows how to teach math to come in here and give these young African-American boys something they don't get at home?
But he can go and openly recruit to everyone.
I understand that, but what I need in my district is for him to be able to address specific issues also. Mm-hmm. When we have, in my district, all but one of the current or former housing projects, mm-hmm. and we have to get in there and do some tough love, and the mothers are asking for African-American male role models to teach mm-hmm. their young boys how to be young, respectful African-American males. This particular bill would ban them from doing that. It also stopped Dr. Risa Poe at John Early, who I just went over last week and saw at this Museum Magnet School, from doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. That's my issue with this. And I guess it's just case specific for me because right. I got young boys dying mm-hmm. in my neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And I can't, if this passes, talk to the principal about let's go and recruit some young African-American males to go and teach in those schools. That's my issue. Okay,
well, I can hear that. On the other flip side, I know how, we're ranked in education, and I just see a real need to get, the best, regardless of, this.
Right. I know how we're ranked in education. I also know how my district is ranked in killing and murders and other crimes other than education. So I'm trying to stop some boys from dying and also get an education. And I'm just saying that's my issue.
I understand. I just don't know how a teacher, I get, seeing a teacher, but that's not the role of the teacher.
In my neighborhood, to save lives, it is.
Yeah.
That's why I wear a suit every day, because when I come back home, I still live in the hood. And when I come back home, they see me, and they don't see this every day. And so in the daycare that I volunteer at, with the 6 months to 5-year-olds that I have, the 85, they don't see their fathers because they're not there.
Yeah.
But, it's just my issue, my district.
No, I understand. And it sounds like a difficult issue, but then is that worth going to all the other districts and saying that you cannot recruit the best that you can find, regardless of, I'm not promoting, let's,
Sure. I understand. But when I have young boys dying on the streets of Buchanan and Joe Johnson, the MLK, and Napier and Charles E. Davis in South Nashville, and Cleveland Street in East Nashville, that's the reality of where I live. And so that's just, when I read this, I said, well, this prevents these principals from going out and recruiting, specifically. I'm just, that's just...
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that couldn't be something, worked out separately. I don't know.
Let me just interrupt. We're still in recess. Good discussion. Mr. Kogi had something to add to that.
Let me just add one last statement, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I think I speak for every member of the organization that I represent here today, and that's the Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents, in saying it doesn't matter where that classroom is. We want a good qualified teacher in there. That's what we need in every classroom, and that's what they endeavor to do. Now, sometimes we're more successful than others. But that's what we endeavor to do on a daily and hourly basis in employment of educators, is that we endeavor to get the best people out there. We would just ask that this stays an option for us, you know, to fill a need, to fill a perceived need in the school district. That we can look at the school population and we can say, I need this person, or I need this person to fit in this role. And you know, if they're the best qualified person, then you can bet you that they're going to get the highest consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I appreciate this bill being brought forward. One thing I try to do with my daughter, and my daughter is now doing with my granddaughters, is making sure they can compete with anybody, anywhere. That they are getting, I made sure that they got the best education possible, the best environment possible, so that no matter where anybody came on the globe to try for a job, that they could compete. Now, that being said, we've got to stop perpetuating a myth, and we're going to have to just, at some point in time, face the facts. This myth that you got a whole bunch of black folks who are standing in line and they're getting a bunch of jobs simply on the basis of their race, or a bunch of women keeping a bunch of men out of jobs simply on their gender, or a bunch of people who may have various gender decisions getting a bunch of jobs. This at some point in time, as a legislature, we got to stop making laws based on myths. Now, everything we have, everything we got, all the data, all the statistics, everything we got says that African Americans especially are getting further and further and further behind. You got more guys in jail than you got in college. Where is this mass of people that are keeping people out of jobs? It's not there. It's a myth. At some point, we're going to have to face it as a myth and then get on about making laws that change this society and make our brothers and sisters and our friends and our constituents safe, and get guns off the street, and open up more schools, and get teachers. I don't care if they're red, white, yellow, polka dot, or pinstripe. Get them in the schools to where they can change. But we got to stop fighting the myths. And I know this is well intentioned. I know we've got a good legislature, good God-fearing people. But, you know, I've got some constituents that will burn my phone up on stuff that doesn't mean anything, that don't amount to a hill of beans. And they'll tell us to come up here and make all these old laws that don't amount to anything. But it's just not there. If somebody could show me and bring me the line of white guys who didn't get jobs because black guys were given preference, I want to see them. Because I don't see it in corporate America. I don't see it in the military. I don't see it in academia. I don't see it in the medical fields. All I see from all those are folks getting further and further behind, and less faces of color and gender and other ethnicities and diversity. Diversity is disappearing because we got less competency. So I would hope that, and I know what you're saying, and in a better day, I would probably agree with you 100%. I probably would. But I think that right now, what we're going to do is we're going to open a can of worms that are going to create problems to where we're going to have lawsuits out the kazoo that says we should have known better than to put this person here or that person there, or let this person in the locker room or whatever. So I don't know what to say other than I want to say this as a father and a citizen, as a black guy, just a guy sitting here trying to help make good laws, that the idea that we've got a bunch of folks who are saying, no, man, you stand aside. I got 3 black guys there, so I got to hire first. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. We need to face it, and we need to move on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for letting me get on the soapbox for a minute.
Thank you, Representative Deberry.